engineering.
Do you believe in a gold standard, Steve? And should it be reintroduced?
No, I don't. No, this gold is regarding money as a commodity, and money has never been a commodity. The only time gold has actually operated as money is during periods like the Hundred Years' War in Europe, where mercenaries wouldn't trust notes issued by the king they were fighting for because the odds were he'd die in the battle. So they would insisted on payment in gold, which would work regardless of which particular king won which particular battle during the 100 years that Europe was tearing itself apart. That's when gold and commodities become money, when you don't have a social system you can trust to enable us to use the easier capacity to create money by double entry bookkeeping, which both governments and banks do. So the gold standard, the main advantage of the gold standard was it provided some form of limit on international bubbles and speculative behaviour, because you ultimately had to convert your currency into gold to buy something from somebody else. And Keynes' suggestion back at the time of the Bretton Woods Agreement was that we should create what he called a bancor, which was a form of currency that was issued to countries based on the scale of their economy, which would be necessary for international trade. And if you ran a trade deficit, you'd run out of it and be forced to devalue. But if you ran a trade surplus, there were going to be rules there to force you to spend those bancors back into the global economy and stimulate the global economy and reduce your trade surplus that way. So we need something like that, not the gold standard.
If we had a gold standard now, though, would it work at all, or would it work? Would the system currently work better? Even though you don't like a gold standard, would it currently work better now if we had one?
No, because again, what we have right now is a crisis caused by a shortage of money, okay? And there's the thing people most need to get is money, and money's the easiest thing to create, but it's not being created by the banking sector because it's created too much, and it's not being created by the governments because they have an obsession about surpluses. That's why we're stuffed up right now. If you change across to a gold standard, you've got to create enough of the gold to enable the economy to grow at the rate of growth that it can achieve, when the amount of gold on the planet is absolutely physically limited. I don't think people actually realise how gold is made. It's really quite simple. You take two neutron stars and you crash them into each other, have an incredible explosion which scatters the stuff throughout the universe. It aggregates in the dust cloud around a forming solar system, and in 3 or 4 billion years it becomes gold deposits. So it's pretty hard to make the stuff. And in fact, the total amount of gold, I think, in the planet is measured in the number of swimming pools. So the idea that we could actually run commerce by physically transferring bits and pieces of gold with each other is total nonsense. And therefore what we'd have to have is some certificate-based system based on a notional hold over a notional amount of gold, and you're back in a certificate trusting somebody situation anyway. So I think the whole idea of imagining we could base trade on gold is nonsense. Gold is a speculative commodity that does well when conventional money systems break down, but it is not money.
Okay. But isn't the amount of gold just simply a function of price rather than, I mean, where it is at the moment, you couldn't have a gold standard?
I don't care what price you put on gold. You are not going to enable anybody to make more gold, okay? There's a physical limit. There's absolute fixed supply of gold on the planet. And if you try to use gold as your form of transaction, the only way you can have an increased value of output over time is for the gold price of things to like if gold become more valuable compared to commodities all the time. So you've got to have a rising price of gold to enable constant transactions to take place. And this is the thing about the reason a monetary system works is you can walk out of your house and go down to buy a cup of coffee, not having to gamble about how much money you're going to need to buy it when you get down there. What happens if you find the gold price has doubled since you walked out the door and you haven't brought enough gold with you? The instability of a commodity price system is part of why it doesn't work.
Fundamentally, though,